Next, how do we know if there is a place called Pure Land? How do we know there's a place for Pure Land? How can we believe in the Pure Land? How do we know we have a Pure Land? Then I have to counter back a question. How do we get to know something? When we get to know something, briefly speaking, we have certain ways to know something. The first is to base on what we know, and then we do a quick analysis as to say, is it worthy of my belief in this? So you have to base on information. You will gather all the information. Some information could have been stored in your mind, which is your inherent information, which include, of course, your view. That's why when just now we said that there are certain erroneous view, evil view, extreme view. In your view, you also have knowledge about it. So in order to know something, you really have to acquire certain knowledge about it. If you don't know anything about it, there's no basis on the belief. So that's the number one thing, acquisition of knowledge. When you acquire the knowledge, you have to analyze it. When you analyze it, of course, you base on your background information, your education. When we believe in something, we rely on information, sometimes of our elderly people, of the saints, of people we trust. For example, if you're a teenager, you're a child, your mom and dad tell you to do certain things, you trust them. This is mom and dad told me to do this. Mom and dad won't get me into trouble. Given that mom and dad are very caring, of course, most mom and dad are very caring. Well, let's assume that the mom and dad is caring. So we base on what mom and dad told us. Don't put your finger into the fire, otherwise you get burned, sonny. Then you know that you're not going to put the finger in the fire because you believe. You won't say, how do I know that I get burned? I'm going to put my finger in it. You learn your lesson. This is the hard way to learn. So you believe in your forefathers. You believe in your mom and dad. You don't really have to research more into it because that's a trustworthy source. Now, why is there Pure Land? How come we believe in a Pure Land? We have a lot of saints who told us, who have written a lot about it, about a Pure Land. And on top of that, the Buddha told us. Isn't the Buddha's words trustworthy? You say, I don't trust the Buddha's words. Well, maybe you don't. I do. You say, I don't trust my dad's words. Maybe you don't, but your sister, Joni, she trusts that. Because you didn't trust that, you got into trouble. Dad told you, you must go home after school. You don't go about wandering around and doing bad things and throwing stones at people's windows and pressing doorbells and then rushed away and all that. Because you believe. So the Buddha told us, there's a Pure Land. Are you not going to believe in the Buddha's words? You have an option. Other than the Buddha who told us there's a Pure Land, there are other saints. For example, Vasubandhu. You know who Vasubandhu is? Vasubandhu in the Chinese language is Si Chen Pusa. There's also Asanga, Wuzhuo Pusa. So many philosophers, so many saints told us that is the Pure Land that we should turn to. We should turn to. Millions of experienced practitioners, they told us. They point a finger, that's the way to go. And you say, I don't believe in it. That's your option. It's just like Johnny doesn't believe that if he put his finger in the fire, he get burned. Then he get burned. So the source of information is from trustworthy source, from the Buddha, from the saints, and from books written by the saints. And the second, gathering information. When we gather all this information, then we start to analyze it. Let me give you an example. When I was a child, I always believed that I lived in Hong Kong. I was born in Hong Kong, was brought up in Hong Kong. As a child, I thought that Hong Kong is the only place that I live in. I don't believe that there's a North America. I don't believe that there's a Canada. I've never been there. At that time, we didn't even have television. I don't know. People told me that, oh, there's another land where people with blonde hair, with red hair, with aquiline nose, with they have different features. That's where they come from. I said, is that right? I always believed that Hong Kong is the only place. And how did Columbus discover North America? Nobody believed him. How can there be America? You're a fool. You make these voyages and you discover America? No way. You go your way. You get swallowed up by waves. You got eaten up by whales. You're not going to discover any land. And Christopher Columbus said, no, I believe. Because I got this information from somewhere. I'm going to discover it. And he tried and he tried and he tried. But he still have this doubt in his mind. Is that really America that I can put my foot on shore? But he's so firm that he has. But before he arrived in America, there's no America to be in his mind. He just have a vision that there's such America in his mind. And all these millions of people, his folks, didn't believe there's America. They didn't believe in the same way that there's a Pure Land. How can there be a Pure Land? It's just the same as how could there be an America? Until they discover it, until they know, oh yeah, there's the Pure Land. The fact that you haven't seen it, it does not mean that it does not exist. Some people say, I never saw the Pure Land. How can I believe in the Pure Land? If you only believe in things that you see, you touch, to have existence, there's so many things that you can't believe in. Because our senses are limited. So, when you get all the information, you analyze it, you know, oh, when I was in Hong Kong, I don't believe in this America. I don't believe in this Canada. And then as I grew up more and more and get more information, yes, there's such a place. It's just now, I don't believe in the Pure Land, but as I get more and more into it, there was a Buddha, and his name is Amitabha. And in his mind, and for eons of life, he has been doing charity. He has been helping, giving compassion and helping sentient beings by building hospitals, orphanages, by building all kinds of charity to save lives, bodily lives. And then one day discover, if I only save bodily lives, I'm only saving the bodily flesh and blood. How about his spiritual life? How about his eternal life? If I save him in this life by giving him a bed in the hospital, he's an old sick man, I only save his life. But when he dies, he reincarnates again. Can I give him an ultimate liberation, ultimate saving, so that I don't have to help again in his next life? I'm going to tell him, don't come back to this world anymore. Go to that Pure Land. That Pure Land where you will meet Amitabha, you will meet Avalokiteshvara, where you will meet all these arahats and saints. They will be your teacher. They will teach you how to get enlightened and to get into nirvana. Then you don't have to come back to this world of suffering anymore. So Amitabha's vow of building that Pure Land has a much more significance than just building a hospital. He built that vast land where people can turn to after this life, that they won't retrogress into suffering anymore. Their alaya consciousness, or in common English language, their soul, after their death, will be received into that land where they don't retrogress into suffering anymore, and they will be learning from Avalokiteshvara, Guan Yin Pusa, Dashi Pusa, Zhu Shang San Ren. They all learn from there until he becomes the Buddha. So that's the land that Amitabha helped to build up. Well, I sometimes, when I sit back, I think that's logical. If I were Amitabha, now that I know after reading Amitabha Sutra, if I build this Pure Land, it will be more ultimate. It will be more eternity. It will be saving eternal life, not just a bodily life. Bodily life is just one life. Life of eternity is forever. He will be forever saved. I believe in that land because I believe in the wisdom of Amitabha, who would set up something like that, a place like that. So I gather all this information and I believe it. And I know that my senses are limited because my sense of hearing, touch, and all that, they're all limited. There's so many things that even I don't see, they may exist. It's just like the ghosts, another dimension of existence. Some people say, I've never seen any ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. But there are a lot of people who've seen ghosts, who feel the existence of ghosts. Can you deny the existence of ghosts? Even scientists, if you ask scientists, do you believe in ghosts, another dimension of existence, a true, genuine, objective scientist would tell you, I can't prove to you the existence of ghosts. But on the other hand, I cannot disprove the existence of ghosts. I don't know. You can only say, I don't know. If worst come to the worst that you are so obstinate that you don't believe in, you can believe in the Pure Land, you can only say, I don't know if there's a Pure Land. But I can't say there's no Pure Land because I haven't seen it. The fact that you haven't seen it does not mean that it doesn't exist. The fact that you haven't seen many, many things does not mean that those many, many things do not exist. Do you have a great-great-grandfather? You have a dad, you have a grandfather, and you have a great-great-grandfather. Have you seen your great-great-great-grandfather? Have you seen him in body and flesh? You haven't. Do you believe he existed before? You haven't seen him though. Because you can trace by your logical reasoning. Because you know that your generation passed from one branch to another. That is hereditary. That's enough for this question. Did I change your mind? Next question.